this one's all about organic. This is something that's really important to us, eating organic, buying organic, and we just wanted to share with you some of the reasons why. So I'm actually going to start by asking Graham what it is about organic that's so important to you.
Well, firstly, let me respond and say, why wouldn't you want to eat organic?
Fair enough.
I think for me, it's certainly all about eating food that is going to not actually do any harm to me. I don't really like the idea of eating food that's been contaminated with synthetic pesticides, that's been farmed in a way that is going to potentially put my health at risk. And I think conventionally grown food, as opposed to organic food, for me is always going to be slightly more risky in that respect, because I'm not sure that I really trust what kind of mass industrial farming is doing to the foods we eat.
And what is it that's made you feel that organic is safer and potentially more of a better health option?
Well, there's a lot of research out there that's been done. I know there's a lot of conflicting research as well, and I know it can be a little bit of a minefield. It's the kind of thing which occupies people all the time, as to whether organic is just a fad or a marketing term or whatever. There is some really interesting research that was done about 3 or 4 years ago at Newcastle University, where they compared organic food, certain organic food crops, to conventionally farmed food, and they found it was significantly higher in antioxidants and lower in toxic heavy metals than conventional food. And for me, that kind of chimes very much with the things that I was already kind of assuming about organic food, that in the way it's farmed, etc.
Mm-hmm. Okay. In terms of research, there's still quite a lot to be done, isn't there?
Yeah.
I personally would really love to see more research on the effects of pesticide residue on gut bacteria. I'm working really quite hard to maintain a decent gut flora that helps me, is beneficial to me. And if I'm going to be ingesting things that have the capacity to kill pests that I can see, then what's the chance that over time they're not able to do some kind of damage to my gut flora, to my microbiome? And really, I think that's quite important. We don't know yet what the actual outcome there is. It's difficult to examine it to really know. But I can't see that as being positive. I think if you're going to be continually exposed to pesticide residue, then there's a chance that you're challenged, let's say, as a minimum.
And yeah, I completely agree with that. And also, it's not just about, we mentioned synthetic pesticides, but it's not just synthetic pesticides that concerns me. It's also if we look at, for example, animals and how they're mass reared. If they're mass reared in a conventional way, they're often fed with antibiotics as a matter of course, which promotes growth, as well as injected with growth hormones to increase the size of the animal.
And the conditions they're in is less favourable very often.
Yeah, I think that generally speaking, organic farming is done with a bit more compassion, a bit more heart. Probably a lot more compassion, a lot more heart.
I think so for many farmers, yes, that's important.
It's got more of a human touch as well. That's the nature of organic farming. It employs more people, and people are generally involved in organic farming, doing it because it actually it's something that is important to them. After all, they're not chasing a huge market.
No, that's true. That's a good point.
Market. And also, then there's the issue of things like GMO crops, which again, you can't talk about organic farming and non-organic farming without mentioning GMOs.
Quite. Well, yes. Do you want to explain what the situation is with regard to genetically modified crops versus organic crops?
Well, basically, organic farming excludes any GMO. It's all based on natural foods that haven't been
tampered with.
Whereas GMO foods, obviously, they are produced in a way which enables them to perhaps become resistant to certain pests or resist weeds and things that really was were never intended by nature, and therefore what's happening up and down the food chain with things like that is I prefer to actually go with something that nature intended if I'm putting that inside my own body.
And that's the other side of it, isn't it? One thing that's very often overlooked, we've talked a lot just now about the disadvantages of potentially having pesticides and the associated heavy metals in our bodies. But there's another side to it, and that's all the benefits that you get from eating something that's naturally grown. Because actually nature has never really let us down in terms of the food that it makes available to us, and we overlook that at our peril. We got very excited about learning about something called salvestrals, if you remember.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, well, salvestrals, it was some research that was done, it was some time ago now, and it was found that when plants are attacked by a pest or a predator, they release certain phytochemicals, plant chemicals, as part of the defence mechanism. And it's believed that these chemicals that are produced naturally are also confer benefits to us. The same things that are often said to be effective at fighting cancers in our body, etc. Again, I'm not making any claims here. This is just research that is suggesting this, but it sounds pretty interesting. If a plant or chemical has been sprayed with a weed killer, it's been sprayed with a pesticide to prevent a pest from attacking the plant, then that internal reaction never occurs in the plant. It doesn't produce these chemicals.
The job's done for it.
The job's done for it, and therefore it renders it slightly less than what you would get in nature. So again, that's a really interesting bit of research for me that's been done. Of course, what we tend to do is we use on a mass scale something called Roundup, which contains a substance called glyphosates, which recently has been the subject of quite a lot of discussion. Has been banned in certain uses, and we were told some years ago that this was fine, it's harmless, but it is believed to cause certain cancers.
And now there's the big controversy over the pesticides that are detrimental to bees potentially, and whether or not to proceed with them. And quite a few countries are deciding not to. It's better to err on the side of caution with something as dramatically important as the bees, the bee population.
There's a whole load more things that we could discuss as well. I mean, we're not going to go into the issue here of affordability and how you can afford to buy organic. That's another discussion.
It is another discussion, and I think it's one that probably we should take on, because it is a bit of an issue. But in short, there are almost definitely health benefits to eating organic. There are quite probably health disadvantages to eating non-organic, conventionally grown foods with pesticides and maybe other things if you eat other than plants, so animal products and so on. But also there's a whole issue, there's an ethical side to it as well. This is better for employment, it's better for the land, it's better for the environment. And we just think it's really important to consider consuming more organic. Have I missed anything in that summing up?
No, I don't think so. I think I didn't want to also avoid the issue of affordability, because that's something that people often point to say, yes, but I can't afford to. And we know the reasons why it is more expensive, because it employs more labour to produce it, and it's a smaller market, and the farms are usually much smaller, and therefore they don't have the same savings that you get on a larger farm. But I think that often there is it's a cost worth paying if it's for your health.
Definitely, and that again is possibly the subject of another one of these, another YouTube video, but it seems to come down a little bit to the culture in terms of the British anyway, and I think that's something else to examine. We do have an expectation of food being cheap, and that's maybe something to examine on a future occasion.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We're on Henry and Henry on Facebook if you want to see more of what we're doing.
Thank you. Bye bye.